Welcome to episode 82 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. I hope your week has gone well. I hope you feel you're moving in a positive direction. Let's hope that the justice that was served up in Minnesota will lead to systemic changes in the way law enforcement does their job. A huge part of the Rebirth Revolution is that people will finally be held accountable for the choices they have made. This will be of little good if the takeaway is that he was one bad apple. We know that's not true. We need a full examination of how we got where we are today, as well as some real efforts to rectify that which has been so wrong. It has been extremely dangerous to have a segment of our society feel that they are above accountability. It has worked out horribly for those they come in contact with, and it has been horrible for the souls of those who have felt they were above accountability. Our human frailties make us susceptible to wanting more and more power and less accountability, all the way down the road to our own destruction. We shouldn't have to watch, on video, someone have the life squeezed out of them. We shouldn't have to see the moment when a man calls to his mother, who is on the other side, as he begins his transition. This is who we are right now as a collective culture, but it certainly is not who we aspire to be. Law enforcement jobs are funded by our tax money. We pay these people to do what they do to our fellow citizens. We should have a much bigger say in how our employees do their work. Let's make sure we keep the pressure on for continuing accountability. This week, I was watching some video of my sons going off to their Montessori preschool years ago, and it connected some dots for me. When we first looked at the school, there was such a profound feeling of rightness for us. It was a warm, loving space with lively, engaged children. They were ages 3 and up, and they all seemed to be excited to be there. Then I saw the sharp knife. On a shelf there was a cutting board with a sharp knife alongside a green apple. My son, who was 3, expressed strong interest in being able to cut up that apple, which frankly horrified me. No way would I let him near a knife that sharp at home. The teacher gently explained to him that he would be able to cut that apple, but he needed some other lessons that would lead up to that task. He would begin by cutting a banana with a table knife, and then he'd work his way up from there. Everything in the room, which was designed for very short people, was available to them. They could engage with any and all materials as long as they did them in a sequence. Every task that could be performed was called their work. Everything was hands-on and self-selected. They could work together or alone, and they always worked at their own pace. When they completed a task and showed it to the teacher, looking for praise, the teacher would not say, "Good job," or anything like that. She would ask them how they felt about the accomplishment. They were super specific about instilling in them an internal compass. They did not want the children to be dependent on outside validation. They didn't need someone else to tell them what they already knew. There were so many things about the manner in which my sons learned that kind of blew my mind. It was like, through being self-directed, you could see how their little brains processed the world and all there was to learn. When they attacked a math series, they would go all the way through all of the offerings, ignoring everything else in the room. It could go on for weeks. I asked the teacher about this, and she said that children will never choose to work on both math and language at the same time. They typically go all in on one and then the other. And she pointed out that when they mastered something particularly challenging, they often would choose to go back to cutting bananas with the kitchen knife as a way to create the space to absorb what they had just mastered. It was all fascinating, and my children were so excited to be there. It fostered a love of learning, along with learning a methodical approach to succeeding at the task they performed. The dots that were connected for me were the one that this classroom presented, and the other dot being our adventure of growing to higher levels of spiritual awareness. Let's start first with the concept of progression in the difficulty of tasks. When we are beginning our climb, we can't yet take on the really deep, dense work of understanding ourselves and others. It's just too much. It is the equivalent of lurching towards the green apple and the very sharp knife. Someone is going to get hurt. We need to start the process with some level of challenge, but a minimal amount of damage that we can do to ourselves and others. We have to take each grade level as it comes without skipping any of the steps. There is no skipping because each grade level contains information that builds on what came before it and sets you up for success in the next grade level. We are here to have the whole experience. We are here to take in all of the information. Sometimes it's hard to be patient with yourself as you progress through the grade levels. It seems like we should be able to process and move on faster than we sometimes can. But if you haven't moved forward, gently remind yourself that there is still something to be gained from your current struggle, and you do want to get everything you possibly can out of everything that comes your way. Be patient with yourself and use those times that you are stuck to remember all that you have learned up to this point. This may be your point in time where simply being still and breathing can help you take it all in and prepare for what's next. Sometimes we get so excited about everything that is yet to figure out that we forget to fully take in and internalize what we have already tackled. Give credit where credit's due. Another parallel with the Montessori preschool is that it is important that we understand that all of the tasks that lie ahead of us are our work. We are here to do our work and to take it seriously and give it the attention it demands. In the preschool, each child would select the work they wanted to do next, set a mat on the floor, and set up their materials so they could focus. No other child was allowed to get in their space while they were doing their work unless they were asked to collaborate. This process would make our work simpler in our own lives. When we have our spiritual work to do, we should have the space to do it, and we should be able to decide if we want outside input or involvement while we do it. We need to grant that space to each other to figure things out and determine our next best steps. Also keep in mind that we are not mystics who sit on mountaintops who can spend all of our time contemplating the meaning of life. We are striving to advance spiritually while also having to work to keep a roof over our heads, We need to get meals on the table, dishes in the dishwasher, and care for those around us. We are working to advance in the small spaces that exist between all of the tasks we must perform on a daily basis just to stay afloat. You will have to calibrate your coursework in a way that acknowledges the realities of life and have reasonable expectations of yourself and others. Another parallel is that we all must move at our own pace. No two people are alike in the ways that we process our lessons, the amount of time that it will take, and the wisdom that we will extract from the experience. Some people believe that the next right move when they find themselves embroiled in a lesson is to figure out how to get out of it, how to make it go away. It is human nature. It is pulling your hand out of the open flame. Of course, avoidance never really works. It just means the lesson will return in another form and possibly with repercussions that are more intense. It is human nature, when confronted with a lesson, to want to extract yourself as quickly as possible. But it's entirely possible that you are going to need to sit with the problem, swim in it a bit, before you can stretch yourself enough to take in the growth that it contains. It's hard work, but if you can have some faith in the process, you will be rewarded. The work in our spiritual progression is also, in many ways, self-selected. We decide when we want to dig deeper into something that is triggered by an external experience. There will always be triggers in the outside world that hit our spiritual weak spots, but we decide when and how we want to engage. Let's say someone says something insulting to you, something that is unkind. You are going to decide if you want to engage with that or not, and you decide the way that you want to engage. You can choose to internalize it, strike back, or ignore it. You can decide that the insult revealed a part of you that you have been trying to keep hidden from the world and allow it to shame you and shut you down. Or you can decide that it reflects a part of you that you are still attached to and want to defend. Or you can decide that the insult revealed more about the person who said it than it does about your situation, and that you don't need to find it credible. In any case, you are going to decide if it reflects internal work that you want to take on, and then do that digging. If someone in a fit of rage tells you that you are purple, you are able to quickly shake that off as being absurd. But if in the same scenario someone tells you that you are stupid, you are reminded of a time that someone made you feel that way and feel injury because of it. It doesn't make it true. It's just a soft spot that was created by a past event. Maybe it's time to re-examine that event that you weren't able to shrug off in the past and put it to bed forever. Maybe you now are wise enough to understand the possible motivations of others that lead them to behave as they do. You can't control what lessons pop up because of the actions of others, but you always decide to what degree you want to dig in. Maria Montessori was a brilliant woman who was born in 1870. She was one of the first woman doctors in Italy. She traveled to many countries to observe how children learned, wanting to separate out cultural norms. With this information, she developed materials and the Montessori system that is designed to address the social, intellectual, physical, and spiritual growth of children. At the core of this, Maria Montessori knew that children had a drive to learn. She knew that they wanted to grow, to know more, and to do better. She understood that they would challenge themselves simply by following that inner drive. Her understanding runs contrary to many traditional models of education, which have an authority figure who leads your progression, setting the curriculum and the pace. The students are told what they are to know. The Montessori method allows children to figure out the lessons for themselves and take from them what they will. This aligns with our spiritual journeys in that some do best charting their own path, picking up what they are drawn to, and moving at a pace that makes sense to them, while others feel more secure having an authority figure tell them what they believe, with no real process of inner discovery or discernment involved. I wonder if the manner in which children were taught in school has some effect on whether or not they believe they can navigate their spiritual journey without simply adhering to what an authority figure tells them. We have an internal drive to grow and learn and progress spiritually. That is built into us. That drive shows up in our collective culture as well. We want to do better. We know we need to do better. The conflicts that exist are because we know things need to change. The same day that the guilty verdict was delivered in Minnesota, law enforcement killed 5 more civilians. The conflict exists because we know we can't go on this way. It runs contrary to our internal drive to live in a more just and loving society. The conflict is because we want better for everyone. Our work is not yet done. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Thanks for letting me share my feelings and perspectives. I am deeply grateful. I'd love to hear your feelings and perspectives. Email me at rebirthrev@gmail.com. This podcast can be found everywhere podcasts exist, as well as on YouTube. Full episodes also play on our Facebook page. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next week, keep expecting more. Keep pushing for change. Cut some bananas when needed, and wear your mask. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and hopeful.